Assalamu alaikum. Let's cook. Okay, people, it was in the news that a black U.S. Secret Service agent who's part of one of those Greek organizations is in trouble for beating another black man during a hazing incident, and he's facing an attempted manslaughter charge. And this is wild to me because that's the agency that I actually learned a lot about members of black Greek organizations in the government, in the U.S. Secret Service, okay? That's where I learned a lot about the guys who are in these type of groups, okay? And I'm gonna read from an article, right? The U.S. Secret Service employee is under total lockdown house arrest on Tuesday after being charged in Florida with attempted manslaughter stemming from an alleged non-university hazing incident involving membership in a fraternity alumni group, authorities said. Secret Service employee Marquez Christopher Pender, 29, was arrested on Monday along with co-defendants Lamar James, 26, and Elijah Delano Diaz, 29, according to Florida State Attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle. Pender was described by prosecutors as the Dean of Pledges, according to an arrest warrant filed in the case and reviewed by ABC News. One of the hazing victims is a University of Miami law student, prosecutors said. But in a statement to ABC News on Tuesday, the University of Miami said Pender is not affiliated with the school. Other than the fact that one of the victims is a University of Miami School of Law student, this incident has nothing to do with the University of Miami or the University of Miami chapter of the fraternity, the university's statement said. The three men, according to Rundle, allegedly used canes and paddles to beat two Kappa Alpha Psi alumni fraternity pledges over the course of 4 days in early April at two locations in Miami-Dade County. Rundle said one of the victims, the law school student, was beaten so severely he suffered kidney failure and had to undergo surgery. This case, with the victims requiring hospitalization, provide clear-cut examples of hazing's danger, Rundle said in a statement. In Florida, hazing is abuse and it is a crime. Its victims too often lie in their graves and in hospitals. Prosecutors identified the second victim as a Miami-Dade fire rescue employee who needed critical medical care following the alleged hazing incident. Besides attempted manslaughter, Pender, James, and Diaz are also charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and causing great bodily harm and hazing with a deadly weapon. All of the charges are felonies. None of the defendants have yet entered pleas to the charges. Michael Townsend, the special agent in charge of the U.S. Secret Service Miami field office, confirmed in a statement to ABC News that Pender is a Secret Service employee and he was placed on administrative leave.
Beating. Local 10's Roy Ramos is outside the jail in West Miami-Dade with the disturbing details.
The alleged victims in this case beaten with a cane and a paddle, and beaten so severely they both had to be hospitalized. Investigators able to connect the three suspects to this hazing incident through text messages and surveillance video.
Sir, you were arrested pursuant to an arrest warrant. It's charged.
Federal Secret Service agent 29-year-old Marquez Pender faced a Miami-Dade County judge Monday after state prosecutors said he was one of three suspects who took part in fraternity hazing. Hazing, investigators said, that included beatings where two pledges were injured so badly they had to be hospitalized. Pender, we've learned, is an agent based out of the Secret Service's Miami field office.
Attempted manslaughter, aggravated battery, and hazing.
Facing the same charges, 26-year-old Jared James and 29-year-old Elijah Diaz. Investigators say their alleged hazing stretched across 4 days, beginning back on April 1st in an apartment in Sweetwater, before then moving to a home in southwest Miami-Dade. In the arrest reports we obtained, it states the two alleged victims were pledging to the Kappa Alpha Psi alumni chapter.
No contact with the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
One victim is a graduate student in the University of Miami's law program, while the other is an employee with Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Detectives said the two were repeatedly beaten with canes and paddles as punishment for failing to answer questions correctly about the fraternity. They say the beatings were so severe, one of the alleged victims began to suffer from vomiting, fevers, and immense pain to his buttocks, suffered kidney failure, and had to undergo surgery.
Okay, so there's probable cause for the charge.
State Attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle releasing a statement that read in part, fraternity hazing might be seen as a tradition creating a sense of belonging and brotherhood. This case, with the victims requiring hospitalization, providing clear-cut examples of hazing's danger. In Florida, hazing is abuse and it is a crime. All three of those suspects now confined to house arrest. As for the Secret Service, well, they say that that agent has been placed on administrative duties pending the outcome of.
Well, this is bad for everybody involved. You know what I'm saying? All of them. How does it make sense that for a black man to join a black group, a black organization, so-called, he's got to get whipped to the point where he's damn near dead and has to get surgery and has kidney failure? I mean, it just don't make sense to me. I know people will say, well, it's rare, it rarely happens, but it happens too much. There are many stories in this kind of hazing history with some of these black groups where black men die or are severely beaten and hospitalized from trying to join these black Greek groups, whatever one it may be. They all the same to me. I just know them like by the colors. I don't even, know much about the names, just like the purple, gold, the red, white, whatever, blue, black and gold or whatever. They all the same to me. But people have actually done stories on this years ago and studied this and looked into this. You know what I mean? It's just one is too many. When somebody's trying to join something to better their life or be part of an organization that's supposed to be doing good things, how do you have to get beat damn near to death or to death? And there are many members. This one right here, Omega Psi Phi, they have the most people out of these black groups who were killed. Going all the way back to 1977, somebody named Robert Brazil at University of Pennsylvania, 78, Nathaniel Swimson at North Carolina Central, 83, Van Watts at Tennessee State, Thomas Harrell, 1986, LaVar University, Joseph Green, 2001, Tennessee State, Brandon Adams, 2019, Georgia Institute of Technology. What they don't know if the Brandon Adams one was actually from a beating, but he was at one of the events and he's a member, so they can't clearly say that. Caleb Williams, 2025, Southern University. These are all black men who died, hazing, getting beat up and smacked up or beat, trying to join these groups. Kappa Alpha Psi, 1994, Michael Davis, Southeast Missouri State University, beat to death. Phi Beta Sigma, Donnie Wade, Prairie View A&M, 2009. I mean, you could go Alpha Phi Alpha, 2018, Tyler Hilliard. You can go on, and that's the names of people who died, but they also have a list of a lot of people at various universities who were hospitalized and damn near dead trying to join a black Greek male organization. Now, I don't know what go on with the women ones or whatever, because I don't really know people that's with them, but I know they have stuff that goes on. And here's my thing with these black Greek groups and these organizations, these black man groups. It seems to me like a lot of them just want to be the white people of the black people, in my opinion. Now, I learned that in my time with the same agency that this guy down in Florida was arrested with for beat. I studied them, I watched, I seen a lot of things go on. And one thing I noticed about these guys in these organizations, from what I seen, I noticed that when they get around white men, all that barking and all that testosterone, all that stand up goes out the window. All that say it with your chest, out the window. Popcorn shrimpery when a white man comes in a room. This is, in my experience, I've seen this in the federal government, you know what I mean? Not just the purple and gold guys, I'm talking about all the different colors. You know what I'm saying? All that strong man stuff is non-existent when there is a white man in the room. And I also noticed that brotherhood stuff is non-existent when the white man comes in and he can break it up. So from what I see, I seen these guys, they'll help each other, right? They'll help each other out before they help other black people, as long as the white man doesn't question their move or the motive. You know what I mean? When a white man comes in and he questions what they're doing or a decision that they made or something with their affairs, all that Greek brother stuff, black, Greek, all E, whatever, that goes out the window. Is non-existent. There's camaraderie when the opposition is other black people. You know what I mean? Oh, like we part of this. We're going to do this before y'all. I seen that. And the only time that I seen these guys go at other white people is when some liberal puts the battery pack in them and gives them permission to do it. On some Roland Martin type stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. So when I see that boy in the news, U.S. Secret Service agent beating another black man to the point where he's getting charged with attempted homicide just to get a pledge in a group, I'm like, damn, that's the same agency where I learned a lot about these kind of people. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know what you've seen or other people, maybe you had other experiences with these guys and these people in these groups elsewhere, but I lost a lot of respect for them when I actually seen them around people who they thought was somebody, and when they had a job that they thought was a good job. All that strong man stuff goes out the window, yo. This is what I learned in my experience. All that steam comes out when the white man is in the room. When it's time to do real business and real work, or work on some real systemic issues, nothing, non-existent. This is when I lost a lot of respect, or I can't say respect. It's when I knew, to me, the ones that I've met in that kind of setting were a joke. I'm not saying everybody who joins it, because I know people who have joined these things and actually don't deal with them no more because of this reason. I know people who joined just because they felt as though, I don't know a lot of people, but I just know some that joined because they felt as though at that time in their life, this is what helped them get ahead or whatever, you know what I mean? But to me, from what I've seen with these guys, non-existent when a white man is there, you know? Yeah, these guys can have barbecues and local events on boats and all that. You know, they can get around and bark and shake their hind parts and swing canes or whatever. But when it's time to get it done, crickets. Stephen A. Smith types, Roland Martin, Shaq, these guys are perfect examples of people with these groups. They represent, each one of them represents, you know, one of them. You got the big, black, strong athlete, Shaq. You got the straight weasel, white man's mutt, Stephen A. Smith. And then you got Roland Martin, who only do something if a white liberal man puts a battery pack in him and gives him the okay to say it. You know what I mean? I'm not impressed at all. I'm not impressed at all. Look, man, how many white men have ever died trying to pledge into these groups? Because you all let them in too. They can get in too, by the way. How many ever died or were beat to the point where they had to go to the hospital with a candy cane or a paddle because they wanted to join? None. But Gregory Johnson at San Jose State on the wrestling team, big, strong black man, he joined that one, San Jose State. They found him in the basement hanging by his neck. Yeah, told his black mom to get the F out of here. San Jose State. Yeah, black man trying to join. Well, no, he was already in. That'll never happen to a white. Not saying I want somebody to get in trouble for that. Being if a white person went to one of these black groups and did, it'll never happen. They're going to treat that white man like royalty. When there is a white man in the room, all that steam and bark turns into a kitten purr, yo. See, a lot of times people have never seen certain people around white men. Yeah, you could be this big, strong guy at the church doing security, or at a local event, a family barbecue, family reunion, you coming in. A lot of these dudes are big dudes, might have been athletes. What you gonna do when you in a room with a white man? And that's what I seen. And all I seen was popcorn shrimpery. And the ones who wasn't like that, it had nothing to do with the fact that they were in any of these black organizations. Because I've met a couple of them, of men, black men who were in these, but they wasn't going for it. But it had nothing to do with that. That's just how they was. You know what I mean? Like outside of that, that's just what kind of individual they was. Not most though. When I seen them, black men running around with guns, federal law enforcement and all that in DC and different so-called high up jobs, nothing. My thing is this, if I had a group anyway, just the fact that you would put your drawers on and bend over and allow me or any other man to beat you with a candy cane or a paddle and you a man, I don't want you in my group. The way I see it, something wrong with you. If you let me or another man tell you to put your drawers on and we're going to beat you with a candy cane or a paddle, you can't join the group. That, you know what I mean? You can't. So I see it as when guys go through that type of stuff, is something kind of wrong anyway, because you know they're not making everybody do that. They're not going to make everybody do that. But this is what would impress me. I would be impressed if they said, okay, to join these black Greek boule groups or whatever, if you want to join, you got to be a member of a white fraternity with a candy cane or a paddle. That's how you join. And we want it on video. I need to see it on video. To join, this is what would impress me. You got to go to the white boy hangouts, the white boy fraternities, go to Duke and these other universities or whatever, where they hanging out and they getting so-called smashed face and hammered. Go there and to one of their events. You, in order to join, you got to beat a white man with a candy cane or a paddle. And that would be a hell of an initiation to me. But it won't happen. You know why? Because these guys know that them little white boys who are at these little spots and them Greek white groups of fraternities, that's the men that they will listen to when they go to their job and say, Yazabal. These are the men that will have them meowing like a kitten in a serious situation. Anybody could be the big man on their own playground, family reunion, church event and all that. You know, I've seen these guys around white men, and that's why I know they'll never go to one of these spots and spank one of them with a candy cane or a big old paddle and yell and bark and all that. It ain't going to happen. And it's pretty sad and discouraging that these brothers are beating other black men to death, or even to the point where they got to go to the hospital and get surgery. I don't know, people. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Link in the description to my masterpiece, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service, and also link to join the email list just in case, you know, the content, YouTube do their thing. Easy.